Hi, my name is Winsley, and welcome to my video covering the 15th dev diary for Age of Wonders 4. I wasn't expecting to see a dev diary this morning, and I have to say it's a pretty pleasant surprise. There's some pretty cool information in here. They start off by talking about how this is basically how you end the game, and there are four different main ways to end the game: the military victory, expansion victory, magic victory, and score victory. I would really say there's three main ways, and then the score victory is just basically if there's no clear winner after a certain number of turns, the game just kind of ends, and whoever has the most points essentially wins. Seems like a interesting way of doing things, but I've never seen a game in Age of Wonders end with a score victory. I think they had similar things in Age of Wonders Planetfall. For each of them, you can achieve this using different playstyles and affinities, and they actually went over a couple different strategies for different affinities in the sections below. This just shows, yeah, this is it. 3 of 4, 3 of 4, 1 of 4, 3 of 4, showing your progress towards that. You can set that as something that you want to keep track of in the top left to see what your next goals would be in order to achieve that victory. Military victory is easily the most straightforward. It is accomplished by taking care of or defeating any hostile enemies. If you have allies, you don't have to take them out or remove them from the realm in order to have a military victory. You just need to take anybody who isn't an ally and defeat them. And that's done by taking both their throne city and sending the ruler to the void. If the ruler is in the void and they have no throne city, they can't come back and they're just out of the game. Vassalization is similar to conquering somebody. If they're a vassal, it's kind of like being an ally, but they do mention that there are ways to get out of becoming or out of being a vassal. You can have the overlord get defeated, and apparently they can just gift that to you, which I don't think you could do in Age of Wonders Planetfall. And it reminds me of Stellaris because you can like make a deal with somebody, be like, "You are my vassal until we accomplish this together, and then I'll release you. Maybe in exchange, you'll give me a city." I believe you can make those kind of proposals in the diplomatic menu, but I haven't got to play around with it, so who knows? Um, what else do we have here? There are extra defenses on the throne city, so it's a lot harder to rush opponents. It sounds like something they were concerned about in development of Age of Wonders 4. They don't want a single flying bird to just fly in and take somebody's city when somebody's just slightly out of position. And also you get extra defenses on the throne city, like I think walls and things like that. Synergies, yeah, they talk about chaos is quite good at being a going for the military victory. This right, chaos empire skill makes it a lot easier. In particular, this reminds me of the Shikaran skill or doctrine that would make it easier to burn down cities, and is quite powerful. Being able to burn down a city 2 turns earlier means that they have to get there 2 turns faster, or else the city's just gone. And it doesn't take too long to raise cities, so it's definitely something that some players will enjoy a lot. I can tell just by looking at these numbers. You get a tier 3 unit, which is not bad. Not sure if I understand how that makes sense thematically. Burn down your city, and now one of you comes with us, right? Materium is a good choice because they can use high quality troops. They excel at sieges both defensively and offensively. Order has ways to boost their military, like getting lots of units from Rally of the Lieges. And then they start talking a little bit about the expansion victory, which is, I think, when you own 50% of the map or so. That's how it's worked in previous Age of Wonders games. It would start a counter saying you need to hold this many provinces or this many sectors for X amount of turns, and then there's a victory. If you lose it just for 1 turn, that resets the timer. So you need 15 turns of something like 50% of the map in order to get a expansion victory. Some things are going to be better at getting the expansion victory than others. Nature, for example, gets more food, so it's easier for them to expand and, go towards the expansion victory. Conquering vassals, I think, counts towards your expansion victory, but only if they're bonded vassals. If they're like something you conquered through warfare, then they will be harder to get into bonded vassal. So this is something that isn't quite as easy for military players to accomplish. Like they're supposed to go for the military victory if they're um, conquering other people. The expansionist victory is kind of like you just build up your own cities, and that's how you're going to win. Order can go the diplomatic angle, getting lots of vassals. Shadow is very versatile, and they get access to more Whispering Stones, and I think maybe Vision, if I remember correctly. They can get like Vision on the vassals. Magic Victory is a pretty interesting one. It's the most defensive one. It says here that you build different locations, a seed, a root, and a heart. And it sounds like the seed is unlocked with tier 3 tomes. I think once you get any tier 3 tome, you can just go to one of your cities and say, I would like to build a seed. It will give you +1 affinity, and it will make researching things of that affinity 10% cheaper. I think that might help you go for the other tomes, like tome 4, tome 5, materium things. Once you get the root, you get another +1 affinity. The spells of that affinity are cheaper to cast, so it's not just easier to research. You now are able to cast things for less mana, and buff and healing spells have an extra positive effect. I'm pretty curious what that is, because there are quite a few affinities, and there were some secret texts in Age of Wonders Planetfall that just had better doomsday victory situations. Like I think Promethean set the world on fire, set the map on fire, and then they could heal when they stepped in the fire. So that was quite a good one. And yeah, I'm like I said, it would be pretty cool to see if people can make this work in the multiplayer community, or how quickly they can get this stuff online. Once you get to tier 5 tomes, you can build a heart, and now give you an extra affinity in that point, as well as making so debuffs have an extra negative effect, and you deal an extra 20 points of that affinity's damage type, essentially. Pretty interesting. You're going to need lots of knowledge in order to unlock the tomes, to unlock the ability to make the buildings. And then I think they said somewhere in here that the buildings cost mana. Probably a combination of mana and gold, but maybe just mana. They don't actually show it off, do they? Here's a root of materium. It doesn't say how much it costs, it just shows off basically what you get. Yeah, you get bolstered defense when you use healing stuff on, or yeah, buffs on your allies. And yeah, it reveals the location to all other empires, so they can start making a plan to try and conquer you if they see that. So, you know, you have to be pretty confident that you're going for the magic victory, I think, before you end up building these locations. Victory spell. So yeah, this is just saying that once you've got all 3 locations, it's going to take 15 turns for you to get the victory. And while that's happening, it says, I think somewhere in here, it spawns in some units to try and take out those locations. Mana and casting points of the spell associated with affinity are reduced by 50%. So once you've got that spell going with the cooldown, it'll be easier to take advantage of your affinities mechanics or gimmicks, or whatever you want to call them. Depending on the affinity, the extra combat enchantment is active while you are in combat. Yeah, so different affinities are going to have different effects, and some might just happen, and other things might need to get activated by something. And once you're in the battle, this makes it easier to defend your provinces, and you might use it to just go on the offense. Yeah, you could signal like, oh, I'm going for magic victory, but you're really getting ready to go on the offense, and that just kind of like messes up everybody else's plans, because instead of defending, they start moving to go on the offense. With all of those things, you get a lot of stuff altogether. An astral player would get 70% less mana and casting points on their astral spells. Astral buffs would give bolstered resistance. The debuffs would make it so that they would sunder resistance, get extra lightning damage, and every combat turn, a random enemy takes 15 elemental damage and gets sundered resistance and status vulnerability. All that adds together to make it so that some lower tier units can actually hold their own against some higher tier units. Synergies, they did talk here about how shadow magic is good at getting some mana and knowledge whenever they conquer a city. I'm pretty interested to play around with that. That sounds pretty cool. I guess it depends on the realm. If there's no cities around you, then this isn't super useful. Astral is a clear candidate for magic victory. Yeah, that makes sense. They're the mana affinity, essentially, or the most mana focused affinity. And score victory is, yeah, basically if nobody is able to achieve the other victories in a certain number of turns, it defaults to 150 turns. There's no winner, and it chooses the highest score, which is based off of a couple different parts of the game. There is your research ranking, military ranking, expansion ranking, economy ranking, diplomacy ranking, and all of those get averaged to give your overall ranking. It looks like blue or teal just overtook yellow right at the end here, and then yellow must have like lost everything. You were defeated. Yeah, yellow must have been defeated by teal or blue or red. It looks like probably teal because they're the next best player. It's always hard to tell just looking at those graphs, but I do love the graphs. I'm interested to see how the end of the stuff works when you conquer something, because I think Planetfall had some weird glitch where it would like do something with the sectors when you moused your mouse over it, or at least that's what happened on my game. Maybe I was the only one. So, story realm and realm traits. Each story realm has its own special path to victory. If you want, you can just use the special victory conditions to win, or if you don't like them, you can go for a victory the other ways. You could get a military victory, a magic victory, or what the other one, expansion victory. But I'm not sure. You might get special things in the Pantheon if you go for the special victory condition. It's not immediately clear at a glance here. Presence traits add specialized rulers which present unique challenges. Yeah, like the um, Pretender Kings. I think that gives you something special when you defeat them. Other traits like the Demon Prince trait requires you to defeat the Demon Prince just once, and then the map's good. You're done. Realm traits will make it so that certain strategies are easier than others. Mega cities will make it so you can only have one city, and that makes magic and diplomatic victories impossible. Yeah, I don't think you can have a magic victory without multiple cities because you can only build one of those in each city. That's how those types of locations worked in previous Age of Wonders games. That's my assumption based on what they're saying here. Not sure about diplomatic victory, because I guess maybe that requires some vassals or free cities. Well, yeah, we'll see more in just 5 days. We're so close to the release. So this makes mana more common. The crystalline abundance, which you can use to get more research or more mana, depending on what you feel like going for. So yeah, this just talks about the different settings you can choose for victory. There's allied, which means that if everybody on a team is the only players remaining, then they just win. They don't have to like turn against each other and fight for first place. They can just like agree we win together. We tie essentially. Um, and that's it. That's pretty much everything. Cool. Thanks for joining me here. Have a good one.